Hey guys, JC here. I'm sure that many of you are familiar with the super broken, no mana ultimate fucking bullshit release day champion, Ekko, the boy who shattered the fucking game. Since that day, Riot has nerfed Ekko a fuck ton. Ekko is still a very solid champion regardless, and it's incredibly fun to play, by just simply ruining everyone's day. Since he came out, he was basically played everywhere on the map. Nowadays, he isn't seen as frequent as he used to be, but he's primarily played mid and jungle. Let's dive into what makes Ekko so goddamn good, his insane kit. Ekko's passive is Z-Drive Resonance. Z-Drive Resonance allows Ekko's abilities and basic attacks to apply stacks to his passive, lasting about 4 seconds while stacking up to 3 times. On the third stack of Ekko's passive, you deal a flat amount of magic damage while implementing 80% of your AP into the attack. This applies a slow into the enemy, and against enemy champions, it gives you bonus movement speed buffs. Ekko's Q is Time Winder. Ekko throws a device to the intended direction, dealing 120 plus 10% of his AP, while applying a 60% slow at max rank, and on its way back, it deals 160 damage plus 60% of his AP. Ekko can utilize his ability to easily kite his enemies, and this ability can be perfectly synergized with his W and E to maximize his damage output onto the opponent. Ekko's W is Parallel Convergence. This ability has both an active and a passive. The passive of his ability makes his basic attacks deal 5% plus 2.2% for every 100 AP of the target's missing health as magic damage when they are below 30%. W's active has Ekko call a clone for himself to hit a device to a targeted location and slows all enemies inside for about 40%. When Ekko enters this sphere, it shields him for a ridiculous amount and sends all enemies inside for about 2 seconds. Ekko's E is Phase Dive. This is Ekko's bread and butter since it allows him to blink to an enemy, dealing 170 damage plus 20% of his AP at max rank. The best way to use his ability is by using W to trap the enemy while Eing to them, then using his Q immediately after. Ekko's ultimate is Chrono Break, the super fucking broken ultimate that allows Ekko to blink to a hologram that's 4 seconds behind him, exploiting all enemies inside the blast radius and healing him for almost all of his health if you build him full AP. Now that you are aware of what Ekko is capable of, let's get into his runes and masteries. I have 3 main ways that I like to build Ekko, and they're all super viable. First off is the standard Ekko, AP Ekko. For AP Ekko, I like to run 9 M-Pen reds, 9 armor yellows, 3 MR scaling, and 6 MR blues, along with flat AP quints. For his masteries, I prefer 12-18-0 with Thunderlord's Decree as my keystone. Oppressor works really well with Ekko since it synergizes with his Q and W. When I play AP Ekko, CDR is my best friend since both my Q and my E will be on a 4-second cooldown, allowing me to kite really well when I use intelligence. For my build, I like to start off with a Doran's Ring and 2 biscuits. The first item I like to rush is Lichbane since it synergizes well with Ekko's E. Normally, I buy Lucidity Boost for the extra 10% CDR, along with 10% Summoner CDR. Since Ekko has somewhat high mana costs at later ranks, Athene's is the perfect item for him. Athene's restores 30% of your max mana on a kill or assist. It also gives you 60 AP, 25 MR, and 20% CDR, granting you 45% CDR. Next up on my build path is Luden's Ekko. Luden's works great with Ekko since using it with his E and Lichbane is sure to explode his squishies. After Luden's, I like to get either Rabadon's or Zanya's Hourglass. Always max Ekko's Q first, followed up by his E, and then his W. Now let's talk about Hybrid Ekko. Hybrid Ekko is incredibly strong and is probably stronger than AP Ekko. For my runes and masteries, they're going to be the same as AP Ekko. I like to start with Doran's and 2 biscuits. The first item I like to rush is a Hextech Gunblade. This will be your main source of lifesteal, allowing you to keep bashing your enemies with health to spare. For boots, Lucidity is the best way to go. Next item that I prefer to build is going to be Rapid Fire Cannon. Rapid Fire is great since it allows Ekko's E's range to be increased. After you build your Rapid Fire, Goonsu's is going to be the icing to this build. Keep in mind that his E will proc 2 stacks of Goonsu's. Trinity Force will be the next item on the roster. Trinity will provide you with AD, attack speed, CDR, health, and mana. Your final item in this build should be Zanya since it makes you impervious to all attacks and gives your abilities time to clear off cooldown. Max Q, E, and then W when you're playing Hybrid Ekko. The last build for Ekko is for the jungle, and it is Tanky Ekko. For your runes, I'll be putting them on the screen so you can pause the video and check them out. The reason for having the attack speed is simply for the fact that this allows Ekko to proc his passive faster early game, making it possible for him to clear camps quicker. For Masteries, I prefer to go 0, 18, 12 with Thunderlord's Decree as my Mastery keystone. This build is very good mid to late game since Ekko is still able to dish out a fuck ton of damage while taking a bunch of damage. Since your early game won't be that strong, and you're going to have to be starting Hunter's Talisman and a refillable potion. In order to clear your jungle with a manageable amount of health, I recommend starting Krugs and receiving a strong leash, then completing Wraiths and doing red and smite it when you're close to killing it. The jungle item you should build is going to be Stalker's Blade into a Runeglaive. The boots that I recommend are Sorcerers for the M-Pen. Depending on what kind of team comp the enemy has, you're going to want to build accordingly. If they are heavy AD, the item of choice is going to be a Deadman's. If they're heavy AP, you're going to want to buy an Abyssal. If you're going Deadman before Abyssal, make Abyssal your next item and vice versa. After you build Abyssal and Deadman's, the next viable item is going to be Warmogs. Warmogs is a great choice because by the time you build it, you're going to be near 3k health. Warmogs would be good for providing additional sustain after taking a lot of damage since you can just run into the jungle and regen all of your health. The final item in this build is going to be Luden's Ekko. This will seal the deal on your already insane amount of damage output when synergizing this with your E and Deadman's. Max Q, W, and then E. Overall, Ekko is a great champion and he's still insanely strong, but he's not as strong as he was when he was first released. I do highly recommend trying out these builds as they do fare really well. Anyway guys, that is it for this video. I hope you did enjoy it. Please leave a like as it does show your support and it does help me out quite a bit. Subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out my other videos as well. Thank you so much for watching guys, it does mean a lot and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace.